Hello and welcome to True Crime Diary, a light-hearted podcast on a serious subject. Every 2 weeks we look back through true crime stories to discuss an event that took place on this week in history. I'm your host Mark Decana, and with me as always are my friends Jed Lester.
Hello.
And Rue Turner.
Hello.
The date we're looking at today is the 7th of November. And in the year 2000, an audacious plan to steal £350 million worth of De Beers diamonds took place at the Millennium Dome.
This is nothing to do with anything.
I agree.
But on that day, I've literally just remembered this. I've got photos of it actually.
Great photo.
We went to for my. You might have been there. For my 30th birthday, we went to Richmond Pizza Express. Uh-huh. You were definitely there. I can't remember if Mark was there. And there were about 15 of us there.
It was, but don't sweat it.
Mm-hmm.
There were about 15 of us there, and the waiter brought the bill, and it was about £25 or something. And I went, "Is this right?" You went, "Yeah." And so I paid it, and I was like, "This is ridiculous." Obviously, he's lifted zero off, and then. The next day, incredibly, I had a phone call at home from the manager of Pizza Express saying it's our fault, but
please can we have some money?
Do you mind if? And I was yeah. And then obviously
no, your mistake, your problem.
I mean, it was I was more than happy to pay. Anyway, we're going off the subject, and that anyway. My point is,
arguably,
that
you stole from reached the subject. Yes.
No, we haven't.
What you're saying is, on the day of the heist, you stole from Pizza Express.
I didn't steal, but I almost
heist of 2000.
Pizza-based heist on the same day is my point.
Yeah, very much a similar story to the one we're about to discuss.
Yes, so while that was happening, I don't know what we're talking about, what time of day it happened, but I was also getting away with pizza-based
pizza heist.
Yeah.
And you were caught.
I was, but I didn't pay. I went, nah.
So first question then, what is the Millennium Dome?
It's a wonderful place filled with wondrous creatures, except those.
The Millennium Dome is a massive great tent in Greenwich, southeast London.
Yeah, it's not a dome.
At the time it was erected for the Millennium, for the 2000 exhibition. It was a massive white elephant. So basically anyone who was to make loads of money out of it, builders, politicians, etc., were all for it. And the rest of the country hated it, thought it was a stupid idea. Mm-hmm. So naturally it went ahead.
So how much did it cost to build?
I think it was 750 million.
Yeah, it was 748 million.
But it went up like 10 times what it was intended, what it was quoted.
Which in today's money, 2022, is somewhere in the region of £1.5 billion.
And just for that building, which
didn't even have walls.
Yes, it doesn't.
It was basically a tent.
Yeah, recently, not 6 months ago, say 8 months ago, there was a bad storm, and it literally had a massive rip in the, let's face it, tent.
In the massive
material.
Tore the tent flaps open.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, so it went ahead, but it's since been, after the Millennium Dome, it then became the O2 Arena.
Yes.
So it still exists, it's a concert venue.
It makes a lot of money now.
Oh, yeah, as a concert
venue. It was sold for somewhere in the region of £126 million.
Yeah.
However, if they'd have just flattened the dome and then sold
the land,
the cost of flattening it and selling it, they'd have got 3 times that much money back.
Really?
So why did
for the cost of the land?
Yeah,
just
the cost of the land
wow.
would have been 3 times the price they got for the building.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
The land.
I often receive £126 million, I think.
This isn't enough. I could have had 3-4 times that. If only I'd smashed everything up.
And it was bought by government sponsors.
Of course it was.
Knockdown price.
Yeah. Ironically, it did get knocked out. Yeah. But it was built as an exhibition centre, so they were basically exhibiting, this is the human body, go and climb in his head and walk up a leg, sort of thing. And then there was...
So...
It was like the Festival of Britain or the Great Exhibition. It's basically saying, look at all the stuff, let's be an education centre, because everyone wants that more than like a roller coaster.
In a part of London where it's difficult to get to at the time.
The Festival of Britain's, 1938?
51.
Well, it was 51.
51. And that attracted 10 million visitors.
Yeah.
And the Millennium Dome was hailed as going to be attracting 12 million visitors. over that year.
Yeah, and it got about
It's
5 or 6. 6.5, is it?
Six and a
Yeah,
half.
half as many as they anticipate. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So not even as many as...
It did get lambasted more than any other government project at the time. Lampooned.
So, well, it begs
But
the
it was
question.
rubbish.
Begs the question.
Did you go?
What was a load of
Did you go?
jewels doing inside it? Basically,
Well, part of the exhibition was the exhibition of by De Beers, the money zone. And
right.
So
okay.
De Beers, the
There was
diamond
brain
monopoly.
zone and the-
Okay. No, I didn't go to the
No, nobody went.
exhibition.
Nobody went. So yeah, so they had the body zone, the body zone where the big centerpiece was, and you had different zones about extolling the virtues of certain parts of society.
And they chose because they could have put any old glass kind of pretend jewels in there just to go, these are jewels.
Yeah.
But they obviously
They put
the
actual
original.
diamonds to the value of £350 million at the time.
and £1 million in paper notes in the walls around. So you're
as a
walking
part
on,
of the exhibition.
and
as
the
a
walls
part, yeah.
around you, the floor and the ceiling were notes.
All of that could have been printed off fake money and pretend jewels.
Yeah.
And no one would have
I
known
know a bloke that did it.
or cared.
What?
Well, I think he's out now, actually. But he did some time for it.
For what?
Yeah, he printed American banknotes and was shipping them around the country, selling them off.
Sure, yeah.
So slightly illegal.
Very, very illegal. Yeah, but he could have done. I mean, if they work well enough coming out of a printer to be used as currency, they certainly work well enough to sit behind glass.
Yeah, or you just photocopy them.
Exactly,
Just put some photocopies up.
Yeah.
No one would have gone, hang on,
This isn't real money. These numbers
I want
are...
my money back. It's like, no one would have
These
said
serial
anything.
numbers are all the same.
Hang on. It is the same as my one.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
yeah.
So that particular division of the exhibition was money, was it?
Was money, and specifically the target for the operation, the gang, was the diamonds, the Beers diamonds.
Diamonds. Diamonds?
So De Beers is the monopoly company that basically owns all the diamonds, and so they can control the price of diamonds, which is why diamonds cost lots of money, or one of the reasons. Unless you want to sell one, in which case they're worth nothing at all. Only to buy them, they cost millions. To sell them, they're worth this. Yeah. So £350 million estimated worth, which current equivalency is about £650 million.
Yep.
That money must be worth a fortune.
So yeah, it's nearly doubled in
I think the
20 years.
insurance for the Millennium Star is 100 million. Puts little finger against corner of mouth. The insurance is 100 million.
Blimey.
But the thing I found kind of really interesting about the stone is when it was originally mined, it was the diamond now, the pear-shaped perfect D diamond that it is I believe 203.4 carats.
Right.
Which is, big
Quite a
old
lot.
diamond.
Yeah.
But it was cut from the rough diamond that was 777 carats. Mm-hmm. That's more than 3 times its size.
Why didn't they just polish up that one?
So, yeah, I mean, it must have been... I mean, I've never seen an image of the actual original diamond that it cut from.
No.
But it took the company over 3 years to cut that diamond out.
Really?
Using lasers.
Lasers. Not other diamonds.
Yeah.
They also had blue diamonds. Do you know about these blue diamonds?
I can't remember what
Sapphires.
chemical they got them.
They're called. They're from a group called Fancy Colour Diamonds. So it's basically they have a
fancy.
basically they are coloured diamonds. They're not different gems. They are coloured, but they're very, very rare and super precious. So they had a stack of them not a stack, but a
Bag.
in a bag. Yeah, they had a cardboard box full of blue diamonds as well as the Millennium Star. But what's interesting about this is months before the raid took place, the police knew all about it.
Oh, right.
So interestingly,
Yep.
and possibly uniquely, in this crime, the police investigation and the attempts of the robbery basically ran perpendicular for a matter of months.
Why would you not go in and stop it happening in the first place? Did they want to catch them?
They wanted to catch them in the act. Yeah.
So you wouldn't want to catch...
Flagrante delicto.
You wouldn't want to catch them, and I don't know. Why wouldn't you want it to not happen in the first place?
Well, because they wanted to arrest the villains. You can't arrest someone for thought crime. It's not 1984.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I suppose so. They're planning it, and they're going to do it.
They knew they were planning it, yeah, but planning it is not crime. Doing it is.
We've all thought about what might be the best way of committing a crime.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I think about little else.
The majority of us just laugh about that and think, but...
Of course, yeah.
I love the crimes these guys were doing leading up to this.
Well, the first thing they did was try and knock off a van that I'm aware of, which was in February of that year. So this is obviously months before. They, South London, Nine Elms, they hit, or they tried to hit a security van carrying £10 million
of
money.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Yeah, it's a security cash van.
Yep.
They blocked off the streets, and they had a lorry carrying Christmas trees.
I hate trees.
Yeah.
In February. But the trees that were basically covering a massive metal spike, they were going to use it as a battering ram.
Cool.
To whack the
battering rams
the
like
van.
2 or 3 metres long, solid steel, and embedded into the rest of the truck, made of concrete.
Cool. Yeah.
And then just loosely covered in a few trees.
I quite like stuff like this. Good. I think it's like, go get it.
These are like proper East End hard man Cockney gangsters. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Old school gangsters.
Proper, yeah. It's no. Let's not like just run up with a gun. This is proper. Like, let's customise a lorry. And
Did the Christmas tree camouflage give it away? Or not give it away, but just someone go, hang on.
Camouflage worked the tree.
Oh, no one was like, what are they doing with a load of Christmas trees?
No, the thing that foiled them was forgetting the keys to the van.
Well, better than that, I believe that they left the keys in the van, in the lorry, and a man who was late for work, apparently a motorist, because the road was blocked off, he saw that the keys were left in the ignition, so he took them out.
Right.
Why
would you do that? Good job he did.
His van nicked.
Someone will nick all those trees. He goes, there's keys left in the ignition, I'll take them out. So the robbers now couldn't batter the van. So they made their escape in a speedboat.
Were they near the river?
Yeah, it would have been a very slow escape. It was on the back of the van with the trees.
They might have been on a motorway.
They had an inflatable speedboat.
Yeah.
Scenes from that James Bond film with the speedboat going across land come to mind.
Yeah. It's still quite good, isn't it? The
as heist stories go, I'd watch that film. I'm
intrigued.
I'd love to see that pulled off.
Yeah, I know. That's what I mean.
Well, they tried it again.
What would they? Sorry, with that lorry and the battering ram.
Yeah.
What were they going to batter?
A security van.
So a van was going to batter a van.
A lorry.
Yeah. Lorry was
with
going to batter
a concreted metal spike.
A battering
was going
van.
to basically smash the van to pieces and
it would have all.
It would have all fluttered.
Brilliantly, it would have fluttered.
Yeah, for sure. So they tried it again in July. That was February. In July, they tried it again.
Yes, because that didn't happen at all. Yep.
But the idea was so good, it was worth trying again.
Oh, yeah. And this time, they did ram the van with the lorry. They got as far as actually smashing the van open. And they would have got away with it too. Except that, surprisingly, a police car just came out of nowhere, just an area car driving around.
Yeah.
Oi!
So, they fired the shot at the police.
In the name of the law.
And scarpered. Yeah. They done a runner. And guess where they got away?
By the river?
In an inflatable speedboat.
Yeah, okay.
Inflatable.
Oh, nobody saw that coming.
Right, okay. But had they stolen any money of any kind?
No, not at that point, no.
So
first they didn't.
Both plans failed.
Both plans failed.
Right, forget vans. Let's go for a massive building.
Well, they've got the idea. Ram target, get objective, cash, get in a speedboat.
Where was this?
South London, by the River Thames.
South of
Nine Elms, the first one.
Oh, Nine Elms, yeah.
But the next one was in Kent, so that would have been
great.
Sort of estuary.
Yeah. So Gravesend. Yeah. Okay.
Alresford.
Is that also near the river?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So was this a specific plan to go? The best and easiest way is for getaway is river based.
It's river, yeah.
Okay. All right.
So they theorised.
Sure.
Yeah.
But they did get away both times.
They did get away both
Not
times.
with any goodies, but they did get away.
Okay, yeah, all right, fine. Yeah. So why did they know all about it? How did they know all about it?
They got a tip-off.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Having had the tip-off about this gang being in operation, that they were going to pull off this van raid.
Yes.
But, of course, now they've twice tried this ram raid. The flying squad of the Met Police,
Yep.
they're now looking into who's going to be able to pull off a job like this then.
Yeah. Certain individuals, you mean?
Yeah, they're looking into who's going to carry it out, and obviously they're trying to find out who the perpetrators are through other means, like investigating the ram crimes.
Asking around.
Yeah, they're asking around. Anyone there? You know anyone who's got a load of Christmas trees and a lump of concrete?
Who's ordered 300 tons of concrete to be delivered to a Christmas tree farm?
I distinctly ordered the Antarctic Blue Super Sports Wagon with the CB and the optional Rally Fun Pack.
Yeah,
Can you guys ask around, please? Yeah. A massive
Fabricated a
ram.
huge spike.
Yeah. Now they managed to track the lorries or the
Big lorry.
and things like that. Yeah, they've got these some addresses. So they put these addresses under surveillance.
Yeah.
That was their initial thing. We think we're narrowing it down now to who these people are. Bearing in mind that this is still months away from the Millennium, don't we? So they're narrowing down who these people might be, and they've worked out there's 2 farms, because we know when it's organised gangs, it's always a farm.
Yeah, it wasn't. Great Train was a farm.
Great Train was Leather Slade Farm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they've tracked down these 2 farms. They put them under surveillance. These are in Kent, and then they get tip off about the dome from another informer. And they all meet up, the detectives, and they think it's just the same gang. They're going to do the dome. It's going to be the same MO. So they know now that they're building up. These are big trial runs.
If the other raids had succeeded, would they have got away with all the money and the whatever in a little boat? Was that how they would get away? Would that have worked?
A little rowing boat.
Would that have worked?
Yeah, don't see why not.
I don't know how much. It was probably quite a lot, though, wasn't it?
Well, the original target was 10 million. So even though...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, maths.
Physically a lot.
Depends how big the boat is.
It was an inflatable speedboat. There were 7 men in the gang. I don't know if they were all going to go by boat, or if they were all...
A rib.
John Dory.
Zodiac.
Well, they probably all would have, wouldn't they?
Yeah,
Gone
maybe,
in.
or they might have met up with someone afterwards. I don't know.
Anyway.
So 10 million originally. So even if the whole plan with the van was about gearing up, practicing for the dome, it would have been a lucrative enterprise in itself. Yeah.
Massively.
Now, by September, the detectives have basically worked out 3 of the people: Lee Wenham, Raymond Betson, and William Cockram, and they've clocked them at the dome.
Oh, yeah. Looking around.
Going, casing the joint.
Sure, yeah.
Running recon.
Pretending to be tourists, probably.
Yeah.
In fact, he went with his wife, I think, didn't he?
Classic.
Yeah.
Went with his wife, I think, didn't he?
Classic.
Yeah.
Check these out. Genuine diamonds, baby.
What they do, they would go to the exhibition, video record.
Everything, yep.
I don't know, would it have been camcorders? Wouldn't it? It would have been phones then, wouldn't it?
No, not phones. No.
They would have had little
camcorder, taped.
Yeah,
tape.
Only 8 years into the internet age.
Yeah. So they
Film everything.
they're going, oh, these blokes, they keep coming back, they keep filming, and hang on a minute, every time they come in, it's high tide.
So someone noticed that. That's quite interesting, because I don't think I would have.
So that meant that they knew that the raid, when it took place, would always be on high tide. So they basically said it's going to be on this date or that date or that date or that date.
Yes.
So in the middle, we're just going to go and get some chips.
Sure, yeah.
But on those dates, we'll have our koshes.
That's quite good, isn't it?
Clever.
To work that out.
High-level security.
High-level security.
Incredible.
High tide. See? The water's high level.
Amazing.
Clever, isn't it?
Unbelievable.
I think that deserved more.
No. Much less.
It's enough time as it is.
Now, this is where your initial comments prove correct.
What were my initial comments?
Your initial comments, why would they put the real gems there?
Yeah.
Well, the
Why
flying
would they?
squad
What was
said,
the answer?
why would they put the real gems?
Oh,
Let's
right,
replace them with replicas.
Yes.
And just put all the others in
Obviously.
security.
Absolutely,
That
obviously.
way, when they bang their way in, it's just glass.
Absolutely, yeah.
Clever.
Those ain't for real diamonds, man.
Like the crown jewels.
Just a few grand's worth.
Yeah.
The crown jewels. I'll mix it up. I can't remember. Down his trousers and in a bag.
It's only shiny rocks.
Oh, the crown jewel, yeah, in a bag. Put the all behind your trousers and the scepter, break it in half, put it in a bag.
Yeah. And the crown on your head under your big hat.
Under a big hat. So the flying squad replaced all the gems with replicas.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And this was the initial phase, or one of the initial phases of what they called Operation Magic Ian.
Good old Ian.
Ian?
Sorry, Magician.
Oh. Would have been better if it was Ian.
Operation Magic Ian.
I have more respect for it.
And as well as replacing all the gems, they came up with another clever idea. They built a wall inside the dome, a false wall, large enough to conceal 20 police officers in full tactical gear.
Right, okay.
This isn't a
one-way mirror.
This is under the dome.
Under the dome,
in a basement corridor that basically goes from one side to the other side, right across.
That wasn't public
and has
access
in
the exhibit
for access by people who work there and things like that.
See, again, that's quite interesting.
That's really clever.
Did those 20, were they in there from then on? Were they in there like every day? Oh no, only at high tide.
Only at high tide.
High tide, high security.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, yes, they've basically shrunk the room and hidden with enough space to hide 20 in full gear.
And the people that worked there were coming in and going, this corridor used to feel so long.
Right. Oh, I see what you mean. Right, so even the people who work there...
the walls are closing in on me.
Am I growing? Or is this...
You get so used to this place, it feels smaller every day.
Yeah.
My weekly walks are getting shorter and shorter.
You gotta make it stop. The walls. The walls.
Oh, that's good, isn't it? So nobody knew that it was being redesigned under their very eyes.
Because of their heightened surveillance, they noticed the two of the villains, Cockram and Betson. They saw them looking at the river, because obviously the dome was on the riverside. Yeah. So they were casing for the jetties, the ports area.
I mean, it is riverside, but it's not that riverside now, because there's been so much building work around it. It's like 150 yards away from the river now.
Well, there is the Thames Clipper, the riverboat bus service.
Yeah,
there's a stop there for the
the O2 I was on that about a couple of months ago, and that is a good 150, 200 yards away, and there's a hotel there, and there's shops and.
But none of that would have been there in 2000.
Exactly. Yeah.
So there would have been
95, 96. Was when it stopped being the gasworks, or it was just flattened and was just horrible, toxic waste.
Just brown land.
Yeah.
So it was.
It was nothing. It was literally nothing. Yeah.
They also, from the surveillance, clocked one Terry Millman, who was another member of the gang. So now ID'd 4 out of the ultimately 7.
Yep.
And his job was apparently to get the getaway boat.
Yep.
In late September. This has all happened in September. Mm-hmm. So still a couple of months before the actual raid itself. From their surveillance, they found some of the gang testing a speedboat.
A boat! I can see a boat!
In the harbour in Kent.
Oh, okay.
Because where the farms are in Kent, they're surveilling the farms. Surveilling them.
I thought you were going to say right outside the dome.
Outside the dome, up and down the river.
They were wearing petrol station gloves whilst they were taking a
little disposables.
Oh, right.
It's interesting you say petrol station gloves as opposed to disposable gloves,
surgical gloves. Yeah.
Well, no, they're not. They weren't like.
Sorry. Yeah. I know what you mean.
They carry a bag.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
So
why were they doing that? Just
fingerprints. Yeah.
No, but fingerprints for what? Are you just taking a boat out?
Yeah, but if they found the boat and it's got fingerprints,
fine.
The fact that it had already been identified was neither here nor there.
Fine.
But they didn't know that.
Yeah, but they were filmed taking this boat out with plastic gloves.
Sure. Yeah.
So by now, we're now in September, they've had 2 failed attempts, but they've already clocked 4 of the gang. They've worked out the target, they've built a false wall, they've hidden and replaced the gems.
It's pretty good, isn't it?
They know so much of what's going to happen, and it's still September. So
the old boy, I can't remember what his name was now, is the older, sort of rough, he'd done 14, 15 years for armed robbery. He caught sight of the boat and just went, nah, that's crap, and went and bought another one for about $4,000.
Replaced the boat.
Bought it with cash and signed the receipt, Mr. Diamond.
That is a made-up name.
Excellent. Neil. I quite like it. It's a good build-up, isn't it, so far?
Yeah, it's a great story. I can imagine the film version with the two stories running parallel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So the gang working out the plan, and then the Rozzers calculating how the plan is going
Catching
to
little
be.
pieces, drip feeding information.
It's fascinating. So, by now, the police, this flying squad, the Met, they know the dates. They've communicated to De Beers. They say, look, these are the dates they're going to hit the dome. We know because of the tide. Early October, they were going to hit the dome, but they called it off because the speedboat didn't work.
That must be when they bought the new boat.
Yeah, I guess that's right. Okay. So that didn't work. So I had to get another one on the 6th of November. So this is already tried once in October, then time's gone by. It's now into 6th of November.
My birthday.
Thank you. That one, they were going to go on the 6th.
The night before?
The night before.
Yes.
They were going to go on the 6th, but they realised that the tide was too low. It wasn't that high.
What do you mean they realised? Surely they would have...
Well, because the police are clearly more akin to the tide schedules than the villains are. So they aborted that attempt and they went back the next day.
Well, whatever we do, we've got to do it fast.
The police, when they realised that they tried to do this one on the 6th, they said, right, it's definitely coming. They're definitely going to do it tomorrow. So on the 7th, on the day of the 7th, they replaced all the staff at the dome with police officers.
Ah, cool. That's good, isn't it? Hello, this way.
Welcome. Hello.
Could I see your tickets, please?
So I think that's brilliant. Every single one of them, they was replaced with armed police. They all had weapons.
Really good. And that was just on a kind of hunch, I suppose, but...
Yeah. They were concealed carrying as well. They weren't visible carrying.
No, of course they were. Otherwise they would have gone, no,
they weren't
not going to rob it.
Yeah, they weren't really in uniform or anything like that.
Yeah, they were in shop clothes.
So the officer that was stood near the back, she said she heard a crash and then turned and looked out through the windows, and she could see a JCB hurtling towards her at full pelt with the bucket bouncing. And she said, I would have drawn my weapon, but it was in my bum bag around the back of my waist. So I just had to get out of the way. She said within 5 to 10 seconds, that JCB came through the glass plate and straight at. And so they said they all just ran because there's nothing else to do.
Sure, yeah. A gun
It's not
going to stop a JCB.
No.
No.
Even if you shot the guy, you'll still run over.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
So, day of the raid, 7th of November, early morning. You've got the police officers all been briefed. You've got some behind the dummy wall. You've got some dressed as cleaners. They're all setting up ready for the hitting. They know they're going to come on that day.
This is like an Ocean's End film.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
To the power of N.
Yeah.
Nominal. Oceans to the power of N.
Fair, they are the same film.
Yeah, that's true.
Oceans.
Oceans to the power of N.
At the time of the raid, you've got 60 armed flying squad in the dome, on the river, all around. You've got 40 firearms officers. Disguised.
Yeah.
There's 200 policemen in total, police officers.
Wow. Very good.
Just basically
imagine
working at the dome.
Heads off.
Yeah. I mean, this exercise must have cost more than the diamonds. It'd have been cheaper to call it all off and let them go home with the gems.
And then catch them,
So there's 4 of the villains is identified on the JCB, on the digger. They got sledgehammers, nail guns, gas masks on.
Oh, yeah.
Better shut up or I'll come over there and rip a hole in that tent.
The idea was that they use the nail guns to puncture the glass and then smash the glass with the sledgehammer. That was the theory.
Okay.
I looked into that. They used a Hilti nail gun.
Yeah.
Which is the type of nail. It's not like a regular domestic nail gun. This is like the literal
industrial
nail gun. This has explosives behind the nails of different calibers and explosive powers. And these things will happily nail into concrete and solid steel.
Yeah.
So was it the right thing for the job?
It will have no problem whatsoever in poking a hole through bulletproof glass.
Right.
Yeah. Easy.
Exactly.
Sledgehammer will bounce off.
Yes.
A Hilti nail gun would go pop, pop, pop.
Through.
I'll put holes through it.
So they get on the JCB, they smash through the fence outside, through the wall and into the money zone where they park up their JCB. Then there's another gang member named Aldo Chiarocci. He starts throwing smoke bombs, and hence why they're wearing gas masks, to smoke up the room. And Cochrane's trying to break the glass. Then the police pounce. They jump. Basically, they jump on them. They arrest the 4 men who went in from the digger. Then they got the guy. While that was all going on, they arrested the guy on standby with the boat.
Yes, he was waiting.
I do that a lot these days. Over there, look.
He's over there.
I loved it. The guy in the digger who's sat waiting
in a smoky room.
The police come up and they're pointing guns at him, and he's putting his arms up. He's going, "I'm nothing to do with this. I work here." That's what he said to the police.
That's right.
The digger driver.
Yeah, it's quite a good thing to say.
They had another guy outside the dome who was monitoring police radios.
Okay.
What do you call that?
Police radio.
Police band.
I don't know. Police radio.
Police radio?
I used to do that when I was a kid. You could pick it up on a stand.
Had a police scanner. That's it. He had a police scanner, so he was listening to comms.
Meaning there was nothing on the comms.
There was nothing on the comms because they all knew what they had to do. They were already there. So he was listening out in case anyone
said something.
Of course. So obviously, because the police had decided that they would wait until the gang had reached the diamonds.
Yes.
At the time, a lot of people sort of said, "Oh, you shouldn't have let that happen." And they said, "Well, no, we want them inside. We want them doing the crime. Plus, if they're outside, armed villains, and they scatter, public's in danger. So we want them we want them get in the room where they're contained."
Yeah.
You can easily take a hostage.
Easily.
You don't really want firearms being discharged when there's the public. Screaming and running around.
This is first thing in the morning, though, isn't it?
It's first thing in the morning. So the police were briefed at 3 a.m. They were in position pretty quickly afterward, and the raid happened at 9:30.
Okay. Who hands up? Who's been
hands up? Good for audio.
I've been on the dome, but I haven't been in the dome. What have you done?
I've been in.
Oh yeah.
And I've been over.
Oh, it's meaning you've been on.
Or in a plane. Not on.
All right, fine. You've been in.
Never touched it.
So I've been on, you've been in.
Yeah.
What have you?
I've been on and in.
Have you?
Yeah, I've been on.
On and in?
On and in.
What were your... I've climbed over the... I'm doing a climbing over a dome
gestures with your hand.
Did you walk over it?
I've done the walk over. Yeah, there's a service, I don't know, called Up at the O2.
Yes.
And you basically you pay them a disproportionately large sum of money.
Yeah, straight out robbery.
Just stand on top of a tent.
You walk up one side. It's basically, you walk up one side, you stand on the top for 8 seconds, and you walk down the other side.
It's a bit rubbish, actually.
I mean, it's all right, it's different.
Yeah,
you can't really see anything.
No, you can't see anything, because there's a... You
can see
I don't
London,
know when you
but
did
not
it. I did it not very long ago, and you cannot see a single part of London at all, because there's there's one building that's quite near to the dome that's in the way of all of London, basically. And I got up to the top, and I was like... We literally could be anywhere, because I don't know any of these slam points, because one building was blocking all of London. Anyway,
the structure
you could see
is only 52 metres high.
Yes.
The spikes go 100 metres up. But
you're only walking over the canvas
52
dome.
metres high.
Yeah, there's some facts I'm trying to remember. For every week of the year, that was it.
Yeah. And there's 12 spikes.
Yes, and there's three... There's 365 is something like, I don't know, the circumference or something.
Yeah, it's 365 metres diameter.
Oh, diameter. All right, fine.
Yeah, otherwise it would be large. It would have more degrees than is possible in a circle.
But it's quite good climbing up and stuff.
Yeah, it's quite fun. I enjoyed it.
And when we went up, there was this, and the bloke was like, "No pictures, no." And I was like, I can take a picture." So obviously, I took a picture. But he was like, "No pictures, no pictures. Otherwise, you might end up looking like what this bloke experienced." And he said, "Like everyone look over the rail." We all looked over, and then right below there was a phone on the roof. Had been dropped like 3 weeks before. Basically, just right on top of the roof.
I bet one of his mates just puts it there every morning just for the tourists to see.
Sellotapes
It's a dummy phone.
Yeah.
But it was it's
I enjoyed it.
something to do.
I liked doing it. Yeah, it was interesting. It was just I've stood on the O2 just in and of itself, and I've seen gigs in there a few times.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, in the main arena.
I don't know. I've seen.
I saw Muse there.
Why were you? Why did you go in?
Kylie Minogue.
Really? Yeah. When was that? Neighbours Live.
Yeah.
So when was that? 20 years ago.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Jesus.
Why did you go and see Kylie Minogue on your own?
No.
Was she performing or she was just there?
Yeah, no. She was. She was my date.
Hello. They're going to be doing events on the Dome.
Are they?
Yeah. I mean, it's only about
It's not very big.
50 square foot.
And so is that like those dining at the top of a crane type events?
Yeah, they're doing stand-up comedy up there. It's because it's novel and interesting, and they do.
You can be charged for it.
Because it's like 40 quid a ticket, which is admission plus gig.
Yeah.
It's a tiny gig.
Right.
I mean, it's a point of interest. I'm not going.
Good.
That's the Dome for you.
The other thing worth pointing out is it was built with a lifespan of around 25 years.
Was it?
And it was built 23 years ago.
That's true. Yeah.
So that means it'll blow up in 2 years' time.
Yeah, it's probably getting a bit old now. I mean, like all those temporary buildings that they put in schoolyards when you're growing up, they were there 30 years later and they were only meant to be there
Porter cabins, yeah.
Exactly.
Like the Hammersmith flyover,
Yeah.
built 50 years ago, temporarily for a few weeks.
Yeah.
Still used today.
I imagine it will still
everything's
be
temporary.
there in 50 years from now.
Everything's temporary until you just don't take it
Held
down.
together by it'll be called the gaffer tape dome. It'll be mostly what it's made
Flapping
of.
around.
Yeah.
Income tax was a temporary measure. That was 100 years ago. Was it? Yeah.
Was it temporary?
It was brought in for First World War to
There
raise.
was no income tax before then?
Yeah.
Will you kindly pay attention to your history lesson?
There must have been taxes, but
There were taxes, but there wasn't enough money
on income.
So they said, well, we'll set up an income tax as part of the Defence of the Realm Act, DORA, to raise funds to fight the war. And then it's just quietly left it in for another century.
Like the Hammersmith flyover.
Just like the Hammersmith
Basically,
flyover.
exactly like that.
So the Millennium Dome, income tax, the Hammersmith flyover, same
thing.
samesies.
All the same.
Literally the same.
A year passed, and then the 7 men
Went to
would
trial.
have been brought to trial,
Oh, yeah.
except for one, Terry Millman. He had already died.
It was the guy that bought the boat.
So after he'd been arrested, he found out that he had cancer.
Well, he might have known. It's just he had less than a year to live.
I may as well rob the Millennium Dome. I've got cancer.
Yeah.
I may as well.
Nothing to live for.
Nothing to lose.
Bit of legacy.
So he died anyway, and he didn't rob anything. He literally never robbed anything.
No.
He did 15 years for armed robbery.
Oh, that was something else. Yeah.
He was part of the gang.
No, I know that,
But
but
he-
they achieved nothing.
Yeah,
They didn't rob 2 security vans and didn't.
They didn't rob the vans,
and they didn't
rob the dome.
rob the Dome.
Yeah, but he didn't.
He died of cancer.
He didn't.
He spent $4,000 on a boat.
I'm starting to feel sorry for him. It's kind of.
Well, he didn't serve any time in prison,
Crappiest robbers.
apart from time served pending trial.
Yeah.
He didn't actually get to trial, so
Okay.
yeah, it was a
He
bit
would
of
have
a downer.
been. He would have been guilty,
But he would have been found guilty and gone to prison. But it's so 6 people
Yep.
went to trial, and some of the argument was, well, there wasn't any security, so they were asking for it.
Yeah.
We had to rob the dome.
Yeah, that's always a.
We had to rob
We
the
were
dome.
obliged.
Was that the defence lawyer's
That was
argument
that was
via them? Obviously.
That was Cockram's, or part of his defence.
Do you think I had a choice?
I mean, bloody
Day
hell.
one, he's there saying, "Well, there's no security, there's no one in the vault, there was no one walking around."
That you knew of.
Well, we know there were 200 police officers.
Exactly.
He said there was no one would have got hurt. There wasn't anyone around. So if there was, they would have. That's what he said. Basically, so he explained what the plan was. Because they went in tooled up. They had the nail gun
totally.
and the sledgehammer. And he said, no, that was just for the glass and this and that. I think what they were worried about the threat of violence, that they would be done for other charges other than the basically breaking and entering, because that's as far as they got.
Sure.
Raymond Betson, who we mentioned, he had a brother-in-law who worked at the Dome. And that's where we're getting info on security and stuff like that.
But it didn't work the other way in the sense that the brother-in-law didn't know obviously anything about the setup.
Well, he did.
Ah.
He knew all about it. He was in on it. He knew about the plan, but then it looks like he was the tip-off. He's turned against him, and he turned up as a prosecution witness against the gang.
Oh dear!
I'll tell you what I know. All right, I don't know everything about everything. I know a little bit about a little bit. Okay.
So he said he had nothing to do with it, although obviously he knew all about it.
Yes. But he sweetened the deal by telling everyone about it.
When it ever happened.
Yeah, exactly. So that looks like that's what they had. So his brother-in-law was a turncoat, and he stitched him up like a kipper. So the trial went on for 3 months, and then they had a 7-day deliberation. A week they were deliberating.
Really?
Yeah, the jury.
Blimey. Who would have been arguing against it? These guys are...
It was a majority verdict. It wasn't even unanimous. 10-2.
Sorry, what's the time?
Charge?
What's the time?
Conspiracy to steal. Conspiracy to steal.
No degrees or anything like that.
So these people were arguing
steal
against it because they didn't steal it.
They say because they conspired to steal, but they didn't steal anything.
I mean,
it was conspiracy, attempted theft, I suppose. But basically, there was some guilty pleas, and what they pled to was conspiracy to steal, rather than attempted robbery or something like that, burglary, etc.
Anyway, so it took 7 days.
An attempt.
Yeah, but they pled it out. They pleaded guilty on the grounds to a lower charge.
Okay.
God, plea bargaining is just so
ridiculous, isn't it?
Rubbish.
Did it, but
they've already had a 3-month trial.
I'll tell you. Roo, I murdered.
I'll say I did it if you then let me off.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Deal.
Betson and Cockram, 18 years each.
So the verdict came in.
They came in as
guilty.
10-2
for guilty.
10-2 for guilty, yeah.
But hey, at least we had some laughs, right?
It was we said just let them take the plastic diamonds halfway down.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Down
and then there would have been no quibble at all.
Yeah.
Let them take the toy shop.
They're not real. So even if they drop them in the Thames,
or even if they get away, it's like whatever. But if they're all on a boat, I mean, you just go around them. And
no, but it's really hard. It's really hard. I saw a marksman talking about a boat chase on the Thames, and he said because the firing is all done, at horizontal level. It's so easy. It just goes clear shot across the river and hits people on the bankside, or goes into buildings on the bankside.
Yeah.
It's really hard to actually
have a helicopter
shoot
down. Yeah.
Is that they won't open fire on another person on the river unless they're within 50 metres.
Yeah.
Which is pretty
go to 49.
But of course, the gangsters are going to be opening fire.
Yeah, absolutely. They would
whatever.
Yeah.
You should have let them steal it. Then there would have been no quibble at all, and then they all would have gone down for years and years and years.
They did.
200 armed marksmen just pop up from the bushes.
Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, this is it. They wanted to get everyone inside and contained to avoid the people rushing around on the river and the streets with guns, because then anything could have happened. They wanted to get them while they were inside.
But I mean,
but they wouldn't have been able to steal it without
the Greenwich Peninsula. You can't go anywhere without getting onto the river.
Blackwall Tunnel.
Yeah, well,
but that's, you can just, you close it.
But you can't predict. You can't predict what's going to happen. If they get to the boat and they get in it, like you say, then suddenly they're now going, well, we've got to do whatever they do, and they're shooting at us. They were armed, yeah.
The robbers,
yeah.
Oh, were they?
I think they made the right decision. I think they would be better to keep them contained and do it that way, rather than risk.
From a safety perspective, yeah, for sure.
Anyway, you're only down to 2 of the 6.
Yeah, so Betson and Cockram, they were thought to be the planners. They got 18 years.
Yep.
Their sentences were later reduced to 15 years.
Same thing.
But basically the same thing. Aldo Chiarocci and Robert Adams, that's the smoke bomb guy and the guy who went in with the sledgehammer to smash the glass, they both got 15 years. Cariochis was reduced to 12 later. Kevin Meredith, another member of the gang, he got 5 years. And Lee Wenham, he got 4 years.
So basically, every single one of them are out now.
Yeah.
Or if not, back in again.
Sure. They'll all be out, basically, just
Yeah, and if you're in for only 4 or 5 years, you're probably out before that anyway.
Probably. Yeah. 3.5.
Cockrum, again, one of the leaders, he got 18 years, reduced to 15. He there was a little bit of an outcry in 2003 when he received legal aid to sue the police.
God, really?
He claimed that when he was arrested, he was handcuffed and he got beaten up by a policeman.
Probably.
Boo-hoo.
So I don't know the outcome of that, but he was given the money apparently for legal aid, and there was a big uproar about it. Now they did arrest another man named James Hurley, who they thought was the big boss behind the raid, who wasn't there at the time to be arrested. You know, he'd been coming under the surveillance. They called him the boatman, and he's one of the people they thought that was testing out the speedboat in the river before when they'd seen him. But before the raid happened on the 7th November, he disappeared, and he turned up in Spain, I think, on the Costa del Sol. Costa del Crime.
Always the Costa del Sol.
Yeah.
Briggs was on Costa del Sol.
Yeah. But they realised they didn't have evidence to prosecute him. So even though he was arrested by the police in Spain, and they did prepare an extradition notice, a warrant, they withdrew it, said that we haven't got evidence because he wasn't there, basically.
Sure.
The digger that they used to break in was put up for sale, and it was sold
as seen
sticking out the side of the Millennium Dome.
Some superficial damage on the digger.
One careless owner.
Yeah. I mean, JCB, who obviously they owned it, it was a JCB, they owned it, and they were auctioning it off as a piece of surplus material.
Sure, yeah.
I don't know at the moment who the buyer ultimately was and whether they bought it for its significance or just another parts manufacturer. But it was interesting that it went up for auction instead of just being straight sold off as batch of surplus materials.
Yeah, you wouldn't. Yeah, you would sell it off as bits and pieces as opposed to.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Millennium
this was used.
Heist,
Our next
JCB.
lot has got a bit of history behind it.
Did you see the kind of the De Beers Gala thing when they were kind of showing off the diamond and then they named it, I think, in October, didn't they?
Mm-hmm. Do you mean at the time?
Yeah.
Probably. I don't know. I can't remember.
So who's that actor that was presenting it? Was it Sophie Marceau?
Really? From The World Is Not Enough?
Exactly, yeah. That
Probably.
car crash of a movie. Sophie Marceau was also in that cultural smash and grab of Scotland, Braveheart.
Oh, yeah. She played the princess, who at the time would have been about 8.
Princess or Sophie Marceau?
Well, either or. She would have been minus 400 or something.
In real life?
In real life, the princess that she plays would have been a small child.
It doesn't work for Hollywood films, does it?
All that, yeah.
In those make them sexy and
I'm pretty sure that William Wallace and she never met.
Sure.
No.
Or she even never left London.
If that Bond film was the one where he climbed over the Millennium Dome, it's probably the reason why they used her.
I think you're probably right. Yeah,
that was in 2002.
So that fits.
Yeah.
Is that
was
Brosnan, or is it
Brosnan? Yeah.
That'll be the reason why she got used, basically, because he ran over.
Because they featured the dome in the flick.
In fact, he did. He slid down it, didn't he?
Yeah.
I asked that. When I was on the dome, I said, because I thought I'm just going to ask a stupid question because I like asking those. I said, which panel did Pierce Brosnan slide down? And he went, that one. I went, yeah, cheers. Right, great.
Yeah. So that was the dome featuring in a movie, but there has been a movie made about the dome heist attempt.
Ah, right. Oh, okay. It's called
The Great Dome Robbery.
Diamond Geezers. No.
That would have been better.
Rubbish, that one. Yeah.
2002. Yep. Obviously made in direct competition with the Bond film.
Only one winner there.
The Great Dome Robbery.
Who's in that then? Never heard of that.
Well,
should we have heard of that?
No.
Was it any? Have you seen it?
I did try really hard to find a copy to watch, but nobody.
It was distributed by Channel 5.
Was it?
Oh, yeah.
Even they don't publish it.
I mean, it sounds like a TV film.
You literally can't find any.
Yeah, there's not even clips of it on YouTube.
Wow.
Maybe it's on Channel 5.
Just on Channel 5.
Just on Channel 5.
Yeah. Channel 5 catch up.
Was it? Yeah. It's got 6.4 on IMDb.
See, that should be perfectly adequate.
Out of what?
100 out of 10. That's a percentage.
Out of 100.
It features people I don't know. Craig Fairbrass, Jason Day,
Yes,
George
I know.
Innes, Ian McKee.
George Innes, you know.
Do I? From
Craig Fairbrass is in loads of kind of Cockney kind of murder films.
he was in George Innes was in The Italian Job in 1969.
Was he?
I wouldn't recognise him in 2002.
Who's he in The Job?
In Job.
He only does heist films.
He was in Master and Commander.
All right, fine. He doesn't only do heist.
It's kind of a working class British topple.
Oh yeah,
Working class topple. He played Terry Millman, the guy who died.
yeah, right. Okay.
So yeah, he was an old man who played an old man who died. Also, in 2020,
Yes.
there was a documentary which persons overseas may know as the Great Diamond Heist, and we in Britain would know it as the Millennium Dome Heist with Ross Kemp.
Hooray!
Because nobody outside of the UK knows or cares who Ross Kemp is.
Okay.
Also, I read that as he took part in the heist. The Millennium Dome Heist with Ross Kemp.
He did it. Yeah.
Be a comma or something in there.
So that was a documentary.
A documentary about the attempt.
On Sky, probably. He works for Sky, probably.
Also, the Crime and Investigation Network did a featured series called Britain's Biggest Heists.
Is that a TV channel?
That's a TV channel, yeah.
Crime Investigation. I suppose there's been lots of crimes.
Well, Britain's Biggest Heist. I guarantee the Great Train Robbery was one of them.
Yeah.
And the Millennium Dome Raid was featured an episode. And it had undercover footage by one of the policemen from the raid.
Excellent.
So that was that hadn't been seen otherwise. So there, that's quite interesting.
Yep.
That's all I got.
Oh.
That's all for this time. If you want to know more about what we've talked about on this episode, then just Google it or something. You can listen to all of our previous episodes on our website. That's www.truecrimediary.co.uk. Please remember to leave a review on your podcast provider if you can, or you can email us. That's stuff@truecrimediary.co.uk. My thanks to Jed and Rue and to all of you for listening, and we'll see you again on next date in our True Crime Diary.